Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TTV Podcast, episode 350. I mean, 16.
Ha!
16. I goofed it. I made the big goof. I'm sorry.
You're fired.
Meso.
You are. Official statement regarding Meso. I'm Var.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Ven.
And I'm Tenebrae Invictus? Question mark? Am I?
Have you guys seen Chef?
Oh my god.
Have you seen Chef by Jon Favreau?
No, I have not. Chef by Jon Favreau.
Nah,
Apparently it's
my
the
favorite
only good movie.
Dude, it's the best movie out there.
Dear Lord. Alright.
That time when Jon Favreau, he chefs it up, that was awesome.
Well, alright. Hey, everybody.
Dude, I love it when Jon Favreau chefs it up.
I do not.
Yeah, dude.
I have no interest in him chefing it up.
You
Oh,
just
okay,
haven't.
let's move on.
You just don't know what you're missing, dude.
Maybe, but
Yeah,
some
Meso,
things
you don't
that
know
are
what you're
known.
messing.
Ah, you're funny. Alright. So, hey, guys, I'm back. I had to sit
Hey,
out last
welcome
time's podcast, although I was still there in spirit, accurately predicting what was being said just by knowing you all so well and posting it in chat.
Yeah,
There was a podcast last time?
It was.
So,
We were talking about a bunch of interesting
Yeah,
stuff.
we bashed Meso hard.
Oh, man.
Heard some of that.
I wish I was there.
Meso, I
There
have
wasn't
to
that much
ask:
of that.
is this podcast just going to be John Wick, the episode, where you just start going down the list of people you have grievances
Okay.
with? And
No, obviously not.
John.
John,
No.
John Wick is cool. Is Meso cool? Hardly.
A little bit of TV podcast trivia.
Wow.
I was going to go on a massive tirade this episode. I'm gonna be honest, but after ranting to 4 different people and the patron chat, I've kind of got my thoughts expunged. So I'm actually at peace.
4
I'm
different.
at peace
You
with
also
the
made
world.
you made a whole video, so you got your opinions on the whole Faber thing. Out.
Literally.
I don't care about the favorite thing. I care about the Marvel TV thing.
Oh my
Oh,
god, really?
my God.
Yes,
Does
I
this
was like,
surprise
I was,
you
I
guys?
was beyond infuriated.
God, I
Here's
don't care
what
about
happened.
this.
The last podcast I've heard
Oh my
was
God.
really, really good. People loved it, you know? So I skipped to the Marvel TV part because I wanted to hear that first, and then I would watch the rest of the podcast. I skipped to the Marvel TV part and got so mad that I had to pause it, turn it off, and I haven't been back to the podcast.
Marvel
since.
TV is a stupid, stupid thing, and anyone who thinks it's going to be a good thing is a stupid, stupid person.
Dang.
Dear Lord.
Not like the Bionicle G3 doubters.
Yes.
Oh, you mean
That's not
us?
gonna work mercifully. I've got
Yeah,
my
you mean
Marvel
us?
rage.
You mean
I've got my
Meso?
Marvel rage out of my system. So this week we'll talk about more important things, like the BIONICLE.
Yeah.
So
Trionicle.
Meso.
last week the
machine.
gang had a very interesting conversation of what I presume to be about the canister picture and how
We
like,
have to make the disclaimer, Meso. I'm sorry. We have to do the disclaimer.
what?
Bionicle is not coming back.
Yeah.
It's not back. All
Shut
right.
up!
Move on.
Shut up, you negative Nancy! You downer!
No, you
That's all
shut
you're
up.
trying to do.
You-
You're just
you-
trying to put us down.
you-
You're just trying to step on the little man.
You,
You're just trying to put down the man, bro.
What's like a positive, uppy Betty? No.
Betty.
You positive Penny. Oh, there it is. You positive Penny.
Oh, you want to fight? Well, you know what? You're just an excellent Edward.
Oh, man.
That's good. I like that one.
I'll see you later, alligator.
In a while,
You know-
crocodile.
There were
Uh,
there were legitimately some comments on that video, Meso, that you made
Mhm.
that make me believe that the people making them might actually be unhinged.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold
so
on.
I'm done.
Hold on, Meso. I have to say this.
Go on.
How does it feel being me 2 weeks ago? I gotta know what it feels like to you.
It's a very
Wait,
interesting
you know
show.
what it feels like, LJ.
But I need to know from his perspective what it's
What does
like
it feel
being
like
in
to
my
be
shoes.
Ben?
I've developed a strong affinity for mangosteen.
Oh, have you? Quality
Very-
fruit.
Oh, hey, I tried that in the last week.
The Ryans in particular are the most delicious part.
You don't know what sin you're speaking, boy. But you'll find out this year.
No, in all seriousness, it's an interesting little thing that's going on with G3 because LJ and I basically had the same opinion from word go, except on a very specific thing where we diverged on. And I gave
LJ
Faber
was
like.
comparing himself to a god.
Oh, here we
Let's
go.
not do this again.
It was the
Let's not do this again.
action.
We've already
It
hashed
was
it
the
out.
action. The reaction. Okay, anyone that didn't understand that analogy and what I was getting at, I have a bone to pick with you. You need to look at analogies.
Burn, podcast, burn.
Now I'm gonna compare you to another fantastic individual. Don't make me.
We've already hashed it out. It's fine. Point being, where we diverged was Eljay he was not dismissive towards Faber, but you were very very skeptical of Faber having too much influence.
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to give
so.
Faber a lot of
some favor.
leeway. This was back when the first 2 pictures came out, and I was willing to be like, you know what, I kind of respect this. I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm curious how he'll develop this fan project. Spoiler alert, it's not gone exactly the way I would have wanted it to go. To the point where that Faber has somewhat been lost. There's a new picture to discuss.
Yeah, there is some new stuff to discuss today. That was literally released only a couple of hours before this podcast.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. No worries.
It's like he released it just for the podcast.
Well,
Yeah.
I believe it is a direct response to Meso's video.
I hope so. But we'll see. Just as a quick recap.
Saying stuff again.
He posted the 2 prior pictures, the one you guys talked about last week, the canister picture, and then the 3 logo inside the O with a bunch of like cryptic text. And I was like, okay, enough's enough. Because AT was like saying he's in another server, and someone was asking him, did you hear that Lego's bringing Bionicle back? And on Reddit, I see people talking about it, and on our boards, I see people talking about it, and I'm like, this has to end. So I just made a video. I talked to Eljay about it, and he rightfully convinced me to not call it a news video because that would have been a bit misleading. It was like 22 minutes. He had the good idea to call it just an opinion piece, which is what I ended up doing.
Worked out. A lot of people took a look at that.
It worked out. It's got 6,000 views at the time of recording. I basically just kind of went all in. I was like, TLDR of the video, this is fine, but you're feeding into a dangerous hype culture, which could end up backfiring. And I used kind of hyperbolic language, but I stand by the intent of it, which was if this goes nowhere, if Faber balloons this hype and it ends up like Rebel Nature or any of these other failed Bionicle projects, it could destroy the Bionicle community's morale for good.
I think I was with you up until the part where you were like, it's going to destroy the community. I think you might have been a little melodramatic there.
Yeah.
Meso on the doomsday clock.
The community
I feel
will
like
survive
Tony's
if
still
they
pretty
adopt the principles that I've been pushing for the last few years, which is that Bionicle is not defined by Lego, but rather what the fans do. Most people are on that page, but I sense a regression if this goes too far. I fear a regression that too we need our exactly. Bionicle's not a theme; it's a people. If people go back too far, and
We live in a society, a Bionicle society.
It's dependent
Us
on
Bionicle
DW's
fans need to
existence.
rise up.
Oh, here we go.
It could be a negative slope. That's all I was saying.
Gamers.
And there's a point in the video about halfway through where I pretty much just start talking directly to Mr. Faber, and I'm like, please, I still support you. Everything I said in my last video is true. I firmly believe if Bionicle comes back under your direction, this could be cool, but I would really recommend a different approach to this. Be a bit more clear, post a bit more things that have concrete meaning behind them, not just logos with, vague posting text, which gets people to theorize about rust patterns and holes in icebergs and stuff for days on end, because that's just creating a vacuum of hype for something that by your own admission doesn't exist yet. That was kind of the message.
I want to find some of my favorite comments about you saying what is a pretty
Oh.
innocuous message.
It's like, oh
I
my
got a
god,
bunch of comments.
some of those comments are ridiculous. I
I've
don't
got
know
a bunch of
how
comments,
any of those people got the
I made
takeaway
a-
that they got.
I made a comment gallery, and I'm going to talk about it, but I'm saving it for after we talk about Faber's new
Okay,
picture.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll let you.
like I said before, on Facebook,
I got a list.
on
Checking
Facebook,
it
people were
twice.
talking about this. People were talking about this on Facebook, and they were conflating Meso's opinion for everybody else's. Like, wow, I can't believe TTV is saying this. They're such hypocrites, especially with all the hype they had for G2. Blah blah blah. Like,
It's
okay,
it's
I
like,
guess
come on,
Meso's
you guys.
opinion, Meso
It's
represents
because
all of us
we
in
were
his own
hyped.
opinion piece. Yeah,
I mean,
To be fair, it's because we were hyped for G2. That's why we That's why Meso would feel this way. That's why any of us would feel this way. It's
Well, I
we
mean,
don't
no
wanna
matter
get burned.
no matter what side you take, there's always going to be that one guy who's like, "Oh my God, TTV, screw off already. No one cares or whatever. You're so wrong. You're only trying to do is kill the community." Because even if we were super hyped, about this G3 thing, it'd be the exact same thing that happened with G2, where we were super hyped about that, and people complained about that, where they're like, "Oh, TTV is so hyped about G2, and G2 sucks." It's the same thing.
What I love most,
We could be hyped, or we could not be hyped. We'd get the same reaction.
Well, they want us to play a game.
I gotta find one of the comments.
Yeah,
Was that Belgian?
Oh no, they want us to play a game we cannot win.
right, which is why there's really no point even.
Okay,
bothering.
somebody had like this one comment. Aren't they the people who like had it in their heads that they were responsible for Bionicle's popularity or some crap?
What?
I remember some group having some massively inflated egos.
That was
about
definitely us. We definitely are the reason
We
Bionicle
brought back
is...
Bionicle.
While we're at it, here's my favorite comment from Ayrton Cheatwood. Wow, eat me. Way to be the wettest bunch of paper towels, guys. You can support it, but if you're hyped at all, you're living in a bleeping dream world. Yeah, that's right. You sound just like Zack bleeping Snyder. How about you guys do the Bionicle community a real favor and lose a piss poor attitude? Because the way you guys are slamming this isn't doing anyone any favors. I used to think you guys were really something back when I discovered the channel, but since this and that last podcast, all I see now are a bunch of cynical frauds who might just hate Bionicle at this point more than they hate themselves. The worst part of it, you don't even realize you're doing it. I'd pity you if I wasn't so disappointed in what you've all become as of late.
So yeah, this is one of the comments that I read that I was like, I actually might feel like this guy is a little deranged. Like he doesn't seem like he's all there. Like it seems really difficult to watch Meso's video and get that takeaway.
Right?
It just.
It's
I remember Meso.
When did you find the channel?
The video, I support you, Christian Faber. I support you. I support you. You're awesome. You're a genius. I'm skeptical, but I support you. I support you. It's like, how do you get that?
At no point has anyone bashed Christian Faber's plan to do anything. All we're saying is that right now there's to be hyped about yet. There's nothing to be excited about. Christian Faber has announced that he is planning on doing something, that is it. That he has admitted himself is in the early stages of development. There's nothing there yet. There's no promise of anything. That's all we're saying is don't be super hyped about it. Everyone, you can support him as much as you want. That's fine. We support him. I definitely support Faber. I hope whatever he's doing comes out. It's really cool. That'll be awesome and exciting. But for right now, like everybody's convinced that Bionicle is coming back, and people from completely different social circles are like, I hear Lego is making Bionicle again, and it's just not the truth. The hype train is going too far. It's
dangerous.
People are coming into this thinking that they're going to get some new like Toa sets, and that's just not going to be the case. And so, literally, the only part of that video, the only message, the only takeaway is to just chill out a little bit. Don't get too excited for something that might not actually. The thing that everybody's getting excited about might not actually be the thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, and
that's it.
And there are two other things to that comment. For starters, when did you find this channel? Like the day before the episode was that video was posted? So that you had time to see our set reviews of every Construction Bionicle set, or Biocraft freaking Chronicles, or Bionicle Autopsy.
We hate Bionicle more than we hate ourselves.
Clearly.
I definitely hate myself. I hate Bionicle.
Guilty as charged. I hate Bionicle and I hate myself, but that's besides the point.
It's like
no, but do you hate it more than you hate yourself?
That's a good point.
I asked him this.
I haven't quite decided.
No, you did. I asked you this yesterday.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I was very confident actually. I remember now. I definitely hate myself more than I hate Bionicle.
Yeah, there you go. And it's like the second thing is
good.
The second thing is, yes, we were the people that were really excited about G2, and you want to know why? Because we had a reliable leak that actually verified it coming back.
Yeah, there was
That's another thing. I don't understand why people keep comparing this to G2. It's completely different scenarios. Completely different.
People are stupid.
G2 was absolutely confirmed to be coming back. There were literal set pictures that were leaked of the new sets coming out in a few months.
And we were still skeptical of those.
We were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. Up until the announcement.
To get it verified.
Up until the announcement.
Versus a mock-up logo that might not be the final logo for something that has no tangible premise whatsoever at the moment. Nothing to actually look forward to other than a logo and a promise of tone, of mystery and adventure. That's it. That's all we got. There's nothing to be excited about here yet. So it's a completely different scenario.
It's exactly what I was saying 2 weeks ago.
G2 had like the G2 had like the product stand, it had the list of leaked sets. There was a whole bunch of stuff. So far, Faber has offered just the logo. He's offered some words. He's posted a couple pictures that may or may not have already been carryovers from something else he was working on.
Yeah, he said it himself. Those pictures were from the past. They're not even new pictures.
Yeah, and then,
it's like he's been as cryptic as he has been relatively upfront about the fact that it's not a Lego thing. You know, it's not Bionicle as we know it. He hasn't used the Bionicle word once during all of this.
Right. That's the thing. People are so hyped about Bionicle G3 happening. It's not Bionicle. He has not called it Bionicle one time.
Well, I guess this begs the question, would you guys still get into Bionicle if Lego was not involved with it?
That is the major question, and that was what I posed to everyone in the video. I was like, you need to be prepared to think, instead of blindly hyping, think about the concessions you're willing to make as a fan. Would you still like it if it wasn't Lego? Would you still like it if it was Lego but was system? Would you still like it if it was called something different but it was still Bionicle in nature? Would you like it if it was a successor to Bionicle?
Right, it's part of the video. And yet somehow people took the message of you just hate Bionicle. But whatever. I don't know. It's the problem is it's the same issue that we ran into when we were doing our own pitch for G3. Bionicle means something different to literally every fan. Yep. Everyone has something that truly interests them about Bionicle. That's what really captivated them. For some people, it's the sets. For some people, it's the tone. For some people, it's the aesthetic. For some people, it's the storytelling and all the books and all that. Some people don't care at all about Bionicle outside of having some neato robotic-looking action figures. Some people don't want toys at all. They just want a continuation of the story from G1. Some people could care less about G1. They want a completely new story. It's different for everybody.
I feel like it can make an argument that most people that got into Bionicle got into it because of the toys.
I mean,
like most people.
I've made this. I made this statement before, and it was during the whole G3 discussions. The core of Bionicle is and has always been the product, because Bionicle is a product. So it is the
That's why there's so many memes about it. That's why people are online going, "Oh man, you remember Bionicle? Yeah, I used to have all of them. I used to have all the Bionicles."
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Var. Oh, okay. So it's like I'm not even saying that Bionicle isn't special because of its story or because of the other surrounding memorabilia. I'm just saying at the core of it, because it is a Lego product, or it's the toys, because Lego is selling toys. They're not selling stories. And so if you take those away, the core becomes something different.
Right. So no matter what you do, it can be a spiritual successor to Bionicle. It can even be called Bionicle. But if it doesn't involve the same sets, it's going to be something different. Because at its core, Bionicle was a toy line. That's what it was. Everything else was supplemental. Mm-hmm. It was there to help it grow and reach different audiences, which is fine. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely the one guy who discovered Bionicle through the books at the book fair.
And if that's the case, then you're not wrong for getting into Bionicle because of the story. If anything, that's a great way to get into Bionicle, is through learning about the books first.
Leave Takuma got into it.
It gives you a reason to buy the toys.
Right. And well, exactly. At the end of the day, those books were just marketing material to get you to buy those toys. Yeah. So if you didn't get the toys, it's one thing, but you're probably going to be one of the fans that wouldn't mind if Bionicle continued as just a story and no sets. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely people out there that would mind. They're only interested in the sets. So, there's different points. But anyway, that was part of the takeaway.
A good thing to, because I still have comments I want to read, but something that will give some more insight into all this is Faber's latest post, which Var theorizes as a response to my video. I hope so, but I don't know. I won't be that, confident about it.
I think Faber's latest post is definitely the most like clear he's been throughout all of these like really vague cryptic things.
Yeah.
There's a very different way of wording things in this as opposed to the other ones.
I'll read the post in question. It was posted earlier today on Saturday, April the 20th. He says, B is a mindset, a quest for mystery and adventure. The future is an open ocean. Everything is out there and you set the course. This is not an attempt to dictate or make a takeover of everything you know from the past. It's to inspire thinking ahead. The future is my client, and these are legendary times with great possibilities, and I'm going to sail the deep waters. I don't want to tell you the destination. It's already in your mind.
Sorry, if I don't mean to be crass, but are you selling drugs? B is a mindset. Whoa.
B. Oh yeah, I didn't get a comment on it on the podcast, but the that last post you made with the 3 is 3 going to be. That's like that's one of the funniest things ever.
Well, I would imagine it'd have to be if the third iteration of Bionicle wasn't going to be Bionicle.
Nah, guys,
That'd be a big thinky. Then what's the point?
It's obviously the B movie too.
Oh yes.
So I think I've figured it out. I think I understand what he's trying to say. I even think I understand what B going to 3 means. I think because right now this whole thing is him pitching this spiritual successor to Bionicle. That's my theory. I don't think he's actually planning on bringing back Bionicle. I don't think he's planning on making a G3. I think he's planning on making something that involves the concept of Bionicle in a new and unique way. Mm-hmm. So when he's bringing up the point, is B going to 3, he's like saying, is Bionicle going to be G3 or is G3 going to be something else? And I think he clarifies that in his most latest post, which let me actually pull it up here.
I got a screenshot on the.
Oh yeah, there it is. So he clarifies that by saying that B is a mindset. So in this instance, B meaning Bionicle, because he's not going to use the term Bionicle, but we all know what B is supposed to mean in this context. B is a mindset. So for him, Bionicle is going into this project. Bionicle represents something more than just the toy lines, the robotic aesthetic, all that stuff. For him, what Bionicle means is that it's a mystery and an adventure. That's the thing that he took away from Bionicle as the big, important element. So for him, as he's continuing his G3 project, that is the thing that he's focusing on. So he continues to say the future is an open ocean. Everything's out there, and you set the course. So obviously, the future, has a lot of different possibilities for where his envisioned G3 could go. And right. It's kind of up to us to set the course by like giving him feedback, that kind of thing. It's not an attempt to dictate or make a takeover of everything you know from the past. That one I think is the most important line in this whole thing. He's saying that it's not taking over the past Bionicle. He's not dictating the past Bionicle, which to me implies that he's really thinking of something different. Not so much, Bionicle as we know it, but something new and grand. It's up, he says it's to inspire thinking ahead. The future's my client. These are legendary things with great possibilities. Sail deep waters, blah, blah, blah. So I think my takeaway from this is that he's doing his own thing. He's doing his own sort of spiritual successor to Bionicle that's using the mindset of Bionicle, the quest for mystery and adventure, as his main premise. So it is a spiritual successor to Bionicle in the fact that to him, Bionicle is mystery and adventure. That's what this new thing is. This is his G3. He's doing his own new story. Which, to me, I think, makes a lot of sense as to why he's being so vague and cryptic about it. Because previously, when we were under the assumption that he was going to be rebooting Bionicle, we thought, like, okay, well, if you're rebooting Bionicle, then surely you wouldn't go out and announce it on freaking Instagram of all things without talking to Lego first or doing any of the proper procedures to getting a line, established. And surely it's not going to come out in 2020 when you don't even have like anything to show at all other than a logo that you made. So all these things that don't really make a lot of sense, I think, is kind of start to make more sense when you realize that it's not actually a reboot of Bionicle, but his own thing that he's doing.
Which is all the more reason why people need to stop imagining it's going to be the G1 continuation they've always wanted with construction sets and a Cartoon Network television show.
So
that's the farthest thing from what's probably going to happen.
Exactly. I think this is his clarifying post. He's really clarifying what this actually is in this post.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual successor. It's his own story. It's not Bionicle G3. It might be called Bionicle. It might not be. I don't actually know.
That all depends on how the Lego pitch goes.
Yeah.
That's if he's going to pitch it to Lego.
That's if he's going to pitch.
In a prior comment, he said they'll definitely be one of the partners I reach out to.
Oh, jeez.
Right.
So, now you made another comment in response to Savatox.
But he's going to be doing it regardless of whether Lego's involved or not.
Exactly. Savatox on Instagram said it's been about 3 years since G2 barely survived 2 at a loss. Not only is it too soon for G3, but it's just financially irresponsible for Lego to be expected to dump hundreds of thousands of something that so recently crashed and burned. I'm not hedging my bets. Faber says, this is a rebel adventure, unfinanced and impossible, and exactly what makes it so exciting.
Rebel adventure, you say?
Rebel adventure.
So,
It's gonna
6
take people with
canisters
a rebel
arrive on
nature
an
to do this.
island containing 6 heroes. The heroes learn of an evil empire and a resistance to dethrone
And to
the
beat it, they have
evil
to
Emperor
save the
Makuta.
environment.
And to be,
Makuta's
they must
destroying
get
the
to 3.
environment.
To be, they must get...
Lego presents
3.
Rebel Nature.
Unity,
I think
duty,
so.
destiny. 3 virtues.
Obviously, his goal is to get this as big as possible as he's planning it. So he's going to try and formulate this plan. He might pitch it to Lego. He might pitch it to someone else. He's trying to get funding for it, that kind of thing. But his goal here is to do it regardless of funding.
Yes.
So really, the size of what this is depends wholly on his ability to get people to invest into it. Which is probably why he's trying to stir up so much hype and get all the community feedback to prove that there is an audience out there willing to consume this thing. It's not going to work for Lego because Lego doesn't give a crap about how many Bionicle fans are out there, because if they did, they wouldn't have canceled G2. So that part of the plan is flawed in the assumption that he is relying on Lego, but it's obvious he's not. He's going to try reaching out to them, and if they say no, it's not going to matter that much. He's going to keep going with it anyway.
Which
That
I mean,
does kind of raise... Oh, sorry.
no, I'm
Go
fine.
ahead, Mason.
I'm fine for that. You know, I've already made my peace with the fact that Bionicle isn't going to come back in the form I know it to be. 3 will not be in this case.
Yeah.
But
3 will not be.
That does not mean that it can't still be enjoyable in its own merits. So.
Right.
I do want to raise one concern. I believe Waj brought it up last time that Rebel Nature was also this sort of like thing that required funding that he didn't have. And as we know, Rebel Nature has been pretty stalled.
Eljay's been a noted skeptic in that matter.
I think Rebel Nature is a big reason as to why this is very like suspect.
Why he's turning to this.
But here's the thing. This, I think, kind of shows why he's doing this plan to gauge interest and see how many people there are that would be interested in this. Because I guarantee you, he's probably dropped Rebel Nature because he couldn't get anyone to back it, because there just wasn't enough interest for it, or he couldn't prove that he could generate interest for it. Whereas with this idea, it's more of a solid plan in terms of getting not only attention, but proof of attention.
Rebel Adventure.
Dear God.
Bion Nature. But yeah, this is a bit more foolproof because he's able to generate hype for it through his vague tweets, getting people to obviously like show their support for it. So when he does go to try to find someone who will fund it, he can point to that and be like, hey, I mean, there are people obviously interested and want to consume this product. So that would be the big difference between this and Rebel Nature.
Yeah.
Still, the cynic in me says, yeah, you're totally right, but can anyone really like have faith in this endeavor if you followed Rebel Nature for the last like 5 years and it's either being dropped or rolled up into this?
Well, I believe that we definitely can have faith that something will come out.
Yeah.
We have no idea what it will be. If it like the size of it will be wholly dependent on who we can get to back the project. And if you can't get anyone to back the project, it might just be like a little short story or something, or some art concept. Something will come out.
Look at this following I have amassed on Instagram. These people want to give you their money.
Yeah.
Buy into my theme.
I imagine that Rebel Nature was more difficult for him to work on because obviously this is all an assumption based on observations from, someone who's not really involved with this whole project. But based on observations, it seems like, if I had to guess, that Rebel Nature was difficult not only to get funding for, but also to do as his own passion project when there wasn't any like visible interest in it, Like he got likes on his Instagram and stuff, but like it wasn't nearly as much as this has gotten.
Yeah.
And I imagine that after kind of promoting his thing so many times that the motivation to do it kind of fell down a little bit.
Yeah. Which I can understand.
So, which is why I believe that this will probably have a stronger chance of happening versus Rebel Nature, because this one definitely has a more visible audience interest.
Unless that audience all turns on him when they realize it's probably not going to be a G1 continuation in CCBS, which is why I stressed in my videos of wow, man. Which is why I made it to the point to stress in my video. You have to think realistically, and you have to say to yourself, what concessions are you willing to make? You have to be careful. You can't have your cake and eat it too. There's like 6 variables at play here, and at least 1 or 2 won't end up being true. You can have some, but you can't have all. And you need to like.
You can have 3, but you can't have B.
The community is smart enough to know when they're being played. So if you're not going to deliver on something, no, I definitely think they are.
Okay, all right.
How about they can be?
Well,
I'm just saying, after those earlier comments. But continue.
There are individuals who will obviously be crazy, but I think the community can tell when something is being used.
They'll be able to know when B will go to 3.
Listen, we've had plenty of critics in the past during the height of TTV corporate stuff for me to know that people can tell.
That's fair.
People can tell. So that's why I think from our experience, it's probably a good advice to make sure you're being careful with the things that you're promising the community. And if you don't live up to what is, what you're promising, then there will be, some repercussions.
And on that note,
just be careful, Mr. Faber, because everybody's crazy. They're all crazy.
Vard, it's funny you mentioned that, because I want
not just the men, but the women.
And the children!
I hate them, Mr. Faber!
Oh god, here's another comment Krazik's posted. Faber, if I get my say, the fans will become the creatives. You already are the best builders, so why not? Abort! 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 Abort!
In the end...
Press the eject button!
In the end,
well,
it wasn't about G3 actually producing the line that we wanted.
The spirit of what he's saying, I agree with. The fans are the core, but the fans, like, they don't know what they want. They do their own things individually, and that's the spirit of creativity. You can't, like, put everything...
You can't... There has to be some kind of vision that's pulling it all.
You can put up surveys and stuff to, like, get fan input, but they can't be the builders.
Yeah, there's got to be a filter that filters through stuff that makes sure everything is... that there is a concept that everything is building towards. Because I mean, you can look at our project for an example of like where if you let people just kind of go wild with their ideas and stuff, it will go all over the place. The amount of Baraki pitches that we got during our G3,
I'll just go back
despite
to
the fact that the Baraki didn't fit at all with the story that we were telling.
People just really wanted the Baraki.
Yeah, people just really wanted the Baraki for some reason. So like, if you leave it up completely to the fans, then it's going to be too much. It's going to be a lot of jumbled different stuff. So you need a filter.
Anyway, Var, this is what I was bringing up because you mentioned about our experience. I'm going to begin highlighting some comments now. This comment from Lefty Skills. Everything in this video kind of reminds me of all the hype for the BioCraft movie. Even after that hype train crashed, it didn't destroy the BioNicle community.
Good job,
and considering Faber is a professional, I'm sure it'll turn out fine. BioCraft managed with a mishandled advertisement, albeit years after everyone forgot, if your little project was able to survive, Faber definitely won't.
Okay,
professionals don't mess up.
Let's go ahead and correct something there. It didn't survive. It was dead. What happened was that it was resuscitated when we were much
in a month
better.
And a half.
Let's set the record straight. The BioCraft that was released in April is not the same BioCraft that was advertised years ago.
Not at
Very
all.
different thing.
Very
Literally
ground
everything
up.
from concept, scripting, filming, editing, music, composition.
Not even
advertising.
the original trailers are advertising a very different movie. You can go back and watch those, and you can obviously tell that it's the thing that's on the channel right now is not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might as well have been made by completely different groups of people.
Yeah, honestly,
also,
yes.
Like, you can make the comparison that what Faber's doing is basically a fan project. I get why you'd say that. But comparing an actual fan project to one of the Bionicle creators doing a project, like, the hype, the quality of the project might be the same, but the hype and the artificial interest in it is far more.
Far greater.
It's far more.
No one was ever under the assumption that BioCraft was going to be the next generation of Bionicle, that it was going to carry the fandom into longevity, that it was going to restore what was once a dead fandom.
Some people are under that interpretation here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. People think that this project is going to be the next Bionicle. Like, once this happens, the community will be restored to what it once was when Bionicle was in its heyday, and that's not going to happen. So BioCraft isn't really a good comparison. BioCraft is a really crappy fan project by some nobodies on YouTube versus something that's being touted as
it's like
next
people don't really get analogies, you know?
Hey.
It's like,
yeah.
I mean, yes, that's exactly what I was saying 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
So, of course, BioCraft not coming out didn't destroy the community because it was just a fan project. There was never any promise of anything bigger than that. It was just another fan project, and practically 90% of all Bionicle fan projects don't come out.
Yeah.
Except we are making more movies. Not one, not two, not three, but zero more movies.
And on that note, continuing on with some non-stupid comments, just people like giving their opinions.
Dang.
By Scott Piazza, I agree that hype machines are generally bad, but when Faber's new project launches, it will need community attention to not be dead on arrival. All I see is Faber advertising, and the fandom is overreacting, as any fandom does. And that's fair. I don't think that this attitude for the Bionicle community is by any means exclusive, but I'm just have to speak towards the Bionicle community's history and like pick out pattern recognition where I spot it. And what I'm spotting here is a dangerous trajectory that people are setting themselves up for a fall because typically the Bionicle community, it's a generalization because there's people of all ages and all maturities in life. So don't get offended, but generally people aren't capable of being as logical as they are emotional because Bionicle is a passion project for a lot of people. So when you present them like 5 possibilities and 5 options, they're going to go with the best one because that's the one they hope for the most. So people aren't really going to be able to have that kind of level of dissociation to separate themselves. And if it doesn't get stamped out early on, it's just going to spread like a wildfire and they're going to set themselves up for a fall. And I don't want that to happen. I think people are in a pretty good place right now. The wounds from G2 have kind of healed up a little bit. People are doing cool fan projects. A little bit.
This is kind of an obnoxious time for this to come out, actually.
Yeah, it's finally stabilized, and now we're just right back into the fire all over again.
That's part of why this is so frustrating.
Wadden posted, coming from Peter Cross, "You know we'll help Bionicle come back? No one buy Lego Star Wars! Ever! That's the reason Bionicle G2 failed! Don't support Lego Star Wars because it takes attention away from every other one!"
Really would love to see your statistics on this.
If anything, it's Ninjago, dude. You're definitely wrong about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want old classic space themes to come back, maybe consider not buying Lego Star Wars, but still.
I would love to see how this person came to this.
Yeah,
I would imagine the Star Wars construction sets is why he has this.
Of course.
Probably, but
let me tell you, the Star Wars construction sets, people are not buying them, and I don't think it's going to bring Bionicle back.
Les Breakfast says, "Don't." Sorry, Var, go ahead.
I was just gonna point out another response to Scott Piazza is that I do agree with this viewpoint that obviously there should be some kind of amount of attention being brought to it, and it's totally fine for Faber to advertise his project. I think it's the method of his advertising that's the problem, though. That's the point of contention, because he's being so cryptic and vague, it gets everybody assuming the best case scenario is going to happen when that's probably very far from the truth.
You are totally right.
He's not directly false advertising, but since he's not also being clear about what he is advertising, he kind of is false advertising.
Kind of. Yeah. It's a tad misleading.
I feel like the unfortunate part is his goal is to instill hope into the fandom that there will be something, but some people don't take it that way, unfortunately. That the sad truth is some people might take it. Most people are not going to get that message. Most people are going to jump to this conclusion as they already have.
They want the best option more so than they want to accept logic.
Right.
They want their G1 continuation with Marinder and Kabrua and Velika and like Anona and the Goldskin being and all that. They want to see that resolved.
The G1 I remember.
And they only want it in construction Lego. That's
exactly. So that's why there's that just a bit danger there. You know, clarity is a bit necessary in this point. But I also understand, especially if Faber's doing his own thing. And it is just a spiritual successor to obviously want to have a bit of fun with the advertising. I mean, we did that with BioCraft as well. So I get that. I get not wanting to give away all the fun and all the secrets and stuff. So that's fine. It's just there does have to be a balance between, you know, actually delivering on the promise and being careful not to promise something that you're not actually going to do.
Agreed. This next comment, less breakfast. Don't blame hype culture on the person of interest. Blame it on the idiots that jumped to the conclusions. No. And I mean,
no. He's correct, but not in this instance.
Yeah, in this instance, it is being general source. It's not like these people are saying this in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You know, he posted the logo of Bion with the 3 as the B, Bionicle 3, and he's the dude who made Bionicle.
He's intentionally stirring up the hype. He knows what he's doing. It's not like he's posted an image that people are completely misinterpreting. He's doing it intentionally for that misinterpretation.
Yeah. Dr. BZR1 says, when you said question mark at the start, I immediately thought of your Hajime portrayal. Oh yeah, dang it, fan.
That's a comment, Meso. Come on.
But yeah, I can see why you had to make this. I remember you and Eljay talking about fan projects that do this, and now they don't go anywhere on Eljay's show, and this is kind of a bigger version of that. I'm also pretty tired of fandoms always hyping themselves up only to get disappointed. I've seen it happen in a lot of places. I wish people could just chill. As for what I'd like to see, I don't really mind what Faber does as long as there's a story with some degree of substance to it. G2 was very simple and straightforward, which for me made its story pretty forgettable. And while G1 did kind of spiral out of control towards the end, I at least appreciate Farshti's ambition and creativity, since even if the execution of some things didn't go so well, the actual ideas are really compelling. From following Faber, he seems like someone who has a lot he wants to say, so I doubt it would be too much of an issue there. So really, I'd be fine with whatever he comes up with, and that's a good attitude to have. That's good. Yeah. Thumbs up, guy.
Honestly, like the one thing anybody should take away from this is to just it's like what this guy said. You just gotta chill.
Please
just chill a little bit.
Chill for your own sake and your friends' sake and everybody's
Don't
sake.
be overtly positive, but also don't be overtly negative. Just kind of like, neutralize your feelings, collect your thoughts, and approach this with a more realistic perspective.
Yeah.
And
You can support Faber, but don't start jumping out of your seat and going crazy about something that hasn't happened.
Because if you get too excited, you risk getting massively disappointed when it's not what you want, and then if you get too pessimistic, then you end up burning yourself.
Especially at this
It turns
stage.
out to be better than your expectations were. So it's like, just find your own middle ground.
Especially at this stage when there really isn't anything to be excited about just yet. Like, we know that there's a promise of something to come. That's all. We don't actually know anything beyond that. So there's just temper your expectations a little bit. You'll be fine. If you're still excited about this, with that in mind, then good. That's fine. As long as you understand that, the best case scenario might not be what's going on.
I feel like something that should be said more often is there isn't necessarily anything to be too negative about either.
True.
Let's not forget that we're all BIONICLE fans. We all want something to come out of it. Shut up, Eljay.
No. Definitely.
Let the man speak.
So someone was saying like, there's nothing wrong with getting super excited about this and getting super hyped about this.
There's nothing wrong with getting excited or feeling excited, feeling hyped.
There kinda is if your expectations aren't in check.
Listen.
I'm listening.
I'm doing the Meso thing. Listen.
Okay.
But no, I think whatever feelings you have about something, you're just gonna feel them. You can't really control them all the time. It's just going to be a natural reaction that you're going to have to whatever. It's just, you have to get to a point where you need to differentiate your feelings from your thoughts, from what's actually happening, from reality.
Well, see, I don't think there is anything wrong with getting excited. I think that person's correct when he says that. The thing is that the problem isn't that people are excited, it's just that they're excited for the wrong reasons. And so I don't want to push too much blame on Faber per se, but I feel like it is kind of
to look at
his
facts.
responsibility here to be a bit more transparent about what he's actually doing, because people are, there are people who are going to get excited about that, and you can make them very disappointed and very upset if
it's funny.
There are a ton of possibilities that all this Faber stuff could lead into, and I'm sure all of those things people have already thought about and are getting excited for. But that's the thing; they're just possibilities. They're hypotheticals. Nothing is definitive yet. So don't fool yourself into thinking, "Oh, yes, BIONICLE's coming back. I'm so hyped," because it's not a fact. It's what you want to come out of this, but it's not factual.
It's funny you'd say that.
For the facts.
Both of you mainly are, because there's a comment who kind of tries to get on Faber's headspace. First of all, this comment by Takaduva03 says him posting the BIONICLE on April Fools is like asking a girl out on April Fools, and if she rejects you, you say April Fools, which is very true. I don't know what he was doing.
I don't know what that was. That was really dumb.
Anyway, here's a comment from Xtantastic X. How do you know he's not intending on all of us thinking it's coming back? Maybe the point of him doing it is to make us think it's coming back and get that hype up, which makes us spread it even more.
Well, absolutely, that's what he's doing.
While it is misinformation, the idea that it's coming back is what spreads it. What sounds better? Hey, this person is working on something. What is it? I have no clue. Or, hey, BIONICLE's coming back. Which one gets spread more? Which one hooks people in a bit more? What you're suggesting we do is the first one, the boring, non-graspable concept. You're working against the possibility of the word spreading that there is even something in the works. By telling people, hey, BIONICLE isn't coming back for certain, it drives people away from spreading the news and possibly getting this greenlit. If you made a video telling us of all the reasons it might come out, we'd be even more excited and spread the news. But to take the opposite stance and say, stop saying anything that might not be true, it gets people disappointed and turned away. Good job.
Now,
I feel like I just got a stern talking to.
I need
to have a timeout.
Let's Mr. X Tantastic X. Let's assume we went with the more exciting option and we spread it to everybody. And we got everybody possible who could ever want Bionicle back excited about this thing, right? And then, when 2020 rolls around, Faber releases his 10-page Bion adventure art book. What then?
The problem is, it's not definitively one or the other. We can't say that Bionicle's not. We can't say that Bionicle is coming back, because we don't have enough information. We don't have enough clear information to say that. We also can't say that Bionicle's not coming back because of the same reason.
I can definitely say Bionicle is not coming back. Sorry, folks.
If Faber is banking entirely on fan interest for this to be greenlit, then he needs to be more clear about that.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to be vague and not be clear about what he's actually doing, then there's no reason for people to be excited. And the only reason people are excited is because they're going on blind faith that the thing that they've craved so long is going to happen when it's highly possible and more likely for it to not be happening. So it's fine to want to spread the excitement and have fun with the advertising and everything, so long as it's clear what is actually being advertised. Now, if Bionicle is coming back, best case scenario, Faber actually does have connections in LEGO that are like, oh yeah, man, if you can just get a couple thousand likes on Instagram, we're gonna bring Bionicle back.
You know what? Let's. I want to create.
If that's the case, then Faber needs to tell us something that would give us an indication that is actually going to happen. Because then I'll tell you. I'll tell you right now, I'll make a million videos talking about how Bionicle's coming back if that's the case. I'll spread that around. I'll tell everybody.
Now, let's create a scenario where we address what he mentions in that second part. Hey, what sounds better? Hey, this person is working on something. What is it? I have no clue. How would you respond to that? It's like, a person's working on something? You don't know what it is? Okay. I guess.
Yeah, what exactly are we supposed to
That's all there is.
Faber's doing something.
It's like there's no response. Okay, it's like, okay, sure. But then what if you say, hey, Bionicle's coming back? Oh, Bionicle's coming back? That's awesome. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Then you just set up an expectation.
Can you honestly tell me that Faber's cryptic, brain teasers on Instagram is more hype-inducing than just him saying, hey guys, Bionicle's coming back?
Yeah.
If he just came out and said it, then literally the hype would be unreal every month.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
There's a reason. There's a reason he's being so cryptic. There's a reason he's not being clear about what's going on, and it's because there isn't anything there. Okay?
It's an idea.
It's an idea. It's a concept. There's nothing more than that. If it was coming back, if it was going to be greenlit for our excitement, he would tell us that.
Yeah.
There's a few examples of people, well, this is kind of relevant, of people already laying down their torches and pitchforks, getting them ready, by Fire Lord. If Bionicle does come back and there's no CCBS, dislike from me. There's one guy, Mishap, who says if it's not the original characters done right, F off.
Oh my god.
See, there you go.
So people have their preferences. They're not willing to listen to anything else,
And those are the people who are going to be really annoyed when it's not really Bionicle and it's just
the Bionicle they want is not the Bionicle Faber is talking about.
Yeah. No. I will say though that those people, he's clarified. I think that the Bionicle they want is not what he's doing. Yes. So you guys, you have nothing to be excited about now.
Move along.
The destination is in our minds.
Why is
that really will be funny
if, a Kojima advertisement? It sounds like
that really will be a funny day when Faber comes out talking about his project again, and he just straight up confirms it's not Bionicle.
Yes.
Well, he's not going to do that because then the hype would die.
He could always do that on the TTV podcast.
He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that because he wants there to be hype.
I'm just saying that'd be really funny.
Someone made an entry into the hype machine. Sid the Squid says the Bionicle G3 project is entering similar waters as Half-Life 3. It has to be the perfect product, and may all be leading to something underwhelming, dissipating whatever fan base is left. Faber's building up the same kind of hype that Valve was, and most Half-Life fans have accepted that either Half-Life 3 is not happening at all, or if it did, it would disappoint greatly. Half-Life 3 would have to be the perfect game to satisfy the hype. The same could be said about BIONICLE G3, and we've already seen similar effects in the hype surrounding G2 as well. I don't think the G3 hype has gotten to this point yet. G3 still has to satisfy the community, allude back to G1, and make up for the mistakes in G2, where one slip-up will still cause outrage. And he's 100% correct.
Yeah.
Half-Life 3 is a way more popular example, but it's very similar ideas. It's a long, gestating wish list kind of compilation in the community. People want it. People want redemption for the franchise. And people have their whole laundry list of stuff that they need for it to be. I don't envy anyone taking on that role, and that's probably why Valve isn't doing it. With this project, I don't know. Faber's got his work cut out for him. I'm trying to say.
Here's the thing. The best way for BIONICLE to come back is for us to not know about it at all.
Yep.
And then when someone's finally ready to announce its reveal, hopefully Lego, we'll get an actual announcement, and then the hype can begin.
Which is exactly what kind of happened before.
Which is what happened with G2. That was the best way to do it. Now, obviously, the sets leaked ahead of time, but that's fine because at that point, it was happening. There were already sets. The story had been made. The logos had been made. Everything was ready to go. At that point, it was just a waiting game for it to come out. So that's exactly how G2 was launched, and that's the perfect way to do it because it doesn't set up any kind of false expectation of what you're going to be getting ahead of time. You're able to actually enjoy it for what it is. Now, if there's going to be a promise of G3 coming out in some, long time in the future, and that you're going to keep getting cryptic hints as to what it could be, and you're going to theorize about what could possibly happen, you're going to set up false expectations of what it is, especially if there are never any answers for the questions that it brings up.
Yup.
So, if BIONICLE were to legitimately be coming back, this is not the way to do it.
Nope.
Right.
If it's just a favorite project, I'm down. But
which I'm sure it is just a favorite project. So as far as I'm concerned, then this is fine. His advertising method's fine. I wish he was a bit more clear about what he's doing. I think his latest post was better.
Agreed.
But that's why it leads me to believe that it is just his project, because I feel like if he was actually planning on rebooting BIONICLE legit, then this is not the way he'd be going about it.
No, most definitively not. Now, there's one more thing I'd like to address, and this is about us. It's the one I addressed, kind of the critique. Mm-hmm. Do you have something to add, Eljay?
Oh no, I'm just waiting for the point where you go. And I admit, Eljay, you were right 2 weeks ago.
I admit nothing. By your own admission, we were always on the same page. So, Meso, you were right 2 weeks ago.
No. I mean, you were like, you're a little more. You were a little more.
We disagree on your analogy.
Listen.
You're in my ballpark now, buddy.
We disagreed on your analogy, which but whatever.
Still didn't
I get the
understand
point you were trying to say, and I do respect it. So
no, it was more so the whole part about how I was being super cynical, and now these
Fair.
are the things being accosted to you, and it's like,
yeah.
All right.
Someone was like, "Wow, Meso, you're so cynical," and I was like, "At least I'm back on my throne, where I'm supposed to be."
Just saying, man. Just saying.
For real. This whole situation is only going to get more complex. My video got 6,000 views. People aren't going to listen. I didn't make that video knowing or hoping people would listen. I'm hoping a few will, but on the whole, BIONICLE fans will see and hear what they want to hear, and I sympathize with that a lot because people obviously want what they love back. Just do your part. If you have friends who are going crazy about it, try to calm them down a little bit. I don't want people to get their hopes up only to be crushed with disappointment. I'm not going to change my tune on this matter. I think it's pretty defined at this point. And to all the people saying that we are pessimistic destroyers of hype and that we, hate BIONICLE and that we suck.
Like you.
You can't have it both ways. And that's what I'll say. We have been, and we're not faultless people. We've made tons of mistakes over the years, both in terms of our creative projects, our opinions, our viewpoints. We're not perfect. I admit it. I can take criticism, But what I can't really make do with is contradictory criticism. I've had people tell us that we were G2 shills who just puppeted, everything that Lego told us, and we shilled the heck out of that project. I've seen people say that we were way, way, way too
too hard on G2.
Way too hard, robbed it of any of its enjoyment for people. Now people are saying we're like simultaneously in the video we're saying to be hopeful, just not crazy hyped, but apparently we're also BIONICLE destroyers and killers of hype. If there's a flaw with us, please tell us, but we can't be both at once. You know what I mean? There has to be a point, a lesson where critique can be applied to someone. But we've always been consistent.
It's interesting because if people say that we are super pro G2 while also saying super anti G2, then perhaps we're somewhere in the middle.
Exactly.
Which is where everybody should be, to be honest.
Either somewhere in the middle, or they would have to finally admit the thing they'll never admit, that TTV is not a hive mind and is comprised of many different people with many different opinions. Like, they could say that I was super negative towards G2 while everybody else was more willing to give it a chance. They
Which is more accurate
on there. But that way they couldn't do the blanket statement, TTV sucks, because they'd have to realize there's different people.
I know, it's just easier to group us all into one thing. TTV is over, party.
Hey, listen.
Gosh,
Whenever you're
GTV.
critiquing them, remember, I work as my own entity now as well, okay? Listen, just have us in different groups, okay?
That's pretty much
It's almost like that's how opinions work. You can, have negative opinions and criticism, and you can also praise certain things.
I 100% agree with you.
You don't have to 100% like everything, and you also don't have to 100% hate everything.
I 100% like that.
Like, I'll talk about how epic Journey to One's art style is any day of the week. Is my favorite thing that BIONICLE ever did, but I also hate the writing, so it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Either way, we will be continuing to discuss this week by week if there's new things to talk about. And for every 3 or 4 pieces he releases, I'll make a new video updating thoughts, because they seem to. I like making them; they're fun. For now, though, that's pretty much.
I'm sure they're fun for you. It does kind of get annoying when people just start bagging on TTV because Meso made an opinion piece as though Meso is the only person in TTV. I had no say in that video.
Yeah.
But
Where's
I guess that video represents my opinion.
Where's the criticism
I
coming
do
toward
have
me? This was my stance, and he just co-opted it. God.
I acted as your shield, Eljay. I took the criticism bullets.
I'm the Reinhardt main here, buddy. I am the shield.
You need to stop being so hard on Faber. Let him do his thing. You need to stop praising Faber so much. You're just hyping it up way.
Also, can we address one more comment?
Sure.
Okay, Tahu Toa. Meso's voice is slowly becoming Eljay's.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't
You
see
think,
it.
you think he maybe meant our opinions?
Which, I mean, I would understand.
No.
But he's
That would be a poetic way
Why
of
would he
saying
phrase
it.
it like that then?
That is a very poetic way of saying it.
But it's just we sound nothing alike.
Yeah, I know, right? And people are posting it in the comments.
Yeah, we sound nothing alike.
It's like
don't know, man.
Meso's voice is like a chocolate mousse, and mine is like black licorice.
Chocolate
Wait, what now?
mousse.
Oh yeah, chocolate
A
mousse.
chocolate
Epic.
mousse and then black licorice.
I'll take that comparison. Sure.
I feel like I should
Can
be.
I be the
offended.
red licorice?
Yes, then you can be the red licorice.
The red vines? I love those things.
I've never had them. I've had black licorice, and I hated it.
Oh, that's because you're a man
Why?
of no taste.
Excuse you. I think
Licorice
you're a
is
swell
fine.
person, and that's my personal opinion, Ven.
I really don't like the usage of black in this conversation.
Sorry.
I really
Licorice of
don't-
color.
I just
Non-denominational
don't
licorice.
Like Meso in this conversation.
What's wrong with me? What am I doing?
Oh, there's a lot wrong with you.
Well,
Better question is what isn't wrong with you?
I unfortunately have to go to work pretty soon. We can begin wrapping up, or I can just leave and you
So
guys
that's
can continue
one of those
talking.
things.
So you can do whatever. I don't know which is preferred, but
I really hate this Meso guy.
By work, do you mean just go talk to Haley for about an hour or something? Now it's
I
actually
wish,
happening
but no, it's
because
actually target work.
Girlfriend. Wow. Okay.
Well, yeah, I do have to respond to a few things. Last week, I was at Target doing a product demonstration booth on iPhone accessories, that no one was going to because there was a Lego booth right next to me where people, like kids, got to build stuff for like Easter, and everybody funneled towards that booth. So I had nothing to do, so I was just on my phone like reading patron chat, typing. So that's why I was so active during last week's podcast.
What if they just weren't at your booth because they saw an employee on his phone not paying attention, and they're like, well, we don't want to go over there?
Well, I had the phone like on the desk behind a phone case, so like it wasn't visible from their side, and I was just like typing down onto it, not actually holding it.
I would imagine it's because they just saw Meso there. They're like, oh god, I'm not going over there.
Well, I don't know what they were trying to achieve by doing an iPhone accessory booth. Like, hey, look at this power bank that's totally visible inside the box that's transparent right next to it. It's like, can I use it? No. Just look at it. It's like, oh, okay.
Just look at it.
It make a lot of sense. But that's why I was around.
Wait, you're bringing BIONICLE G3 back? Can I play with it? Nah, just look at
it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Marvel TV shows, but you've been reprieved this week.
No one cares about the Marvel TV show.
Yeah, no one
I
cares,
can guarantee
dude.
that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of came to the realization I'm not even going to bother arguing it until they come out, because I'm not.
So you're not even a real Marvel fan, Meso. Like, I don't know why you want
You could make any kind of argument you want, and it would not change a single thing.
Yeah. There's one thing I will say. One tiny thing. One little thing. Because I was talking with Haley. Just listen. I was talking with Haley off air, because you and her are in sync about like franchise fatigue.
Of course.
You're both concerned that Marvel's like going down, the fatigue road. Am I right there? Well, my only counterpoint to that is comics have existed for 80 years. I know that
and only nerds read them.
I know that movies are way more popular in the mainstream, but comics are still profitable enough to exist in the modern era.
Barely.
Full disclosure, I hate comics, so I'm not one of them. But
oh boy,
they exist.
Comics are barely profitable.
Yeah, here's the thing, all right?
Irregardless of the amount of work they take, because I always see Haley saying that in the comments, talking strictly from creativity, Marvel has done one plot line out of like dozens, if not hundreds. Thanos is like, he's one of the great, but he's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I get that. I've read those comics. Here's the difference, Meso. I'm not going to see advertisements. I'm not going to hear people telling, like multiple people that I meet on a daily basis telling me, oh, have you read this comic? I'm not going to be seeing it everywhere. It's not going to be like... You also
don't need to read every single comic.
Yeah, it's not going to be all over the place.
You don't need to watch every single movie or TV show. That was the other thing. I hated how it was like, oh man, they're making this TV show. I have to watch it. There's no way I can understand what's going on.
Well, that's what's going to be like. That's most likely what it's going to be like now.
If I skip Iron Man 2, there's no way I can understand Endgame, because Whiplash is so important. It's like, not really. There are stories that can work in tandem.
Well, if you don't watch Iron Man 2 and then you go into Endgame, then you're going to be like, who the heck is Black Widow? How does she know the Avengers?
Yeah, like, it introduces Black Widow.
She's a S.H.I.E.L.D.
It introduces Black Widow. It introduces Nick Fury. Because
he's a S.H.I.E.L.D. leader.
All I'm saying is
you're not going to get that from just watching Infinity War. You're going to get that from watching Iron Man 2.
Creative writing can find many ways to abridge important plot details.
Yes, but that does not mean that creative writing has already taken place in order to... Because we were just having a conversation the other day about how you can't watch Infinity War without watching most of the Marvel movies.
You could.
You could, but you're not going to understand it as much.
But you could watch it.
That's why you would be completely lost. I've had this conversation with people who have watched Infinity War because they're idiots. They watched Infinity War without seeing a single Marvel movie. And you know what they said? Mm-hmm. They hated the movie because they didn't understand what was going on. There were too many characters. No one had any development. And they were confused the entire time.
They didn't have to do that. They chose to do that.
Oh, here we go.
They have the power.
Exactly. But you have to get the best experience.
Marvel introducing their 4 TV shows will not be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
When my choice is I could have a good time or I could have a bad time, but in order to have a good time, I now have to waste hours upon hours
it's
of my life, then I mean, like,
look,
at that point, why bother?
I mean, that's a perspective
I don't
for
have
you.
time
That's
at all.
why, like, I'm not gonna argue you as far as the quality of shows. Like, you gave Shield a chance. You didn't like it too much, but you watched it. You got it. You know, you can dislike TV shows as a medium all you want. You're never gonna be won over, but their potential exists in the exact same way as movies. They're not cursed. You know, which is why Marvel's going for it. It's not that much more. The 4 to 8 episodes that Hawkeye will have, about 40 minutes. And they're not even releasing at the same time. They're like spread out. And like another point that wasn't even mentioned, they literally just canceled 5 13-episode TV shows to replace them with 4 to 8 episode TV shows.
And that's exactly why I'm already exhausted, because I just spent my time getting invested in these shows only for them to go nowhere.
Which I respect. But like, from my perspective, they just like the most olive branch I'll give you is that the status quo has been maintained. But from my perspective, it's been reduced by like half the amount of stuff to watch.
No, it hasn't been reduced by half. They added half.
After canceling 5 ongoing shows.
Yeah, they added to those shows, though. Like, that's more
shows are
content. Those shows still existed, Meso. It's not like they went back, time traveled, and deleted those shows from existence.
In production. There were going to be seasons like 4 and 5 of each.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There were still 4 seasons. You know, 3 seasons of Daredevil. There were still 2 seasons of Punisher. There were still 2 seasons of Jessica Jones that I watched. It's not like because those shows got canceled, they suddenly stopped existing. I still watched them. That's still a ton of content.
I'm saying future content.
They are now adding more content.
The Netflix shows have been a part of Marvel for about like 5 years now, and they are being replaced. Like, you're right, those shows still exist, but if they weren't canceled, then we would have seasons 4 and 5 of Daredevil, 3 of Punisher, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, season 4 of Jessica Jones, and the Netflix season 2 Defenders team up running in conjunction with Loki, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, Falcon, and Winter Soldier. And then maybe I'd see your point.
No. See, the thing is, you're right that if they were still concurrent, there would be even more crap to sift through. Sure. But that doesn't mean that there isn't still a lot of crap that was there and is there.
And the point I'm kind of ultimately building to is
there's going to be 10 Marvel shows. If they didn't cancel Netflix shows, there'd be 15 of them, and at that point, it'd be like, oh, there's too much.
I know,
there's only 10 of them.
All that is.
Listen, man, I know it's bad, but it could be so much worse. So, I guess it's not bad at all, really.
The beauty of that point is that even if that hypothetical situation happened, whether it's bad or not is still entirely up to you. I don't actually think that's bad. I think it's perfectly fine. They can do
that's
those
fine.
Shows. In and of themselves, above like average writing, they're fine. Burnout is completely arbitrary. If you feel burnt out, I'm never going to convince you to not feel burnt out, but so long as it is profitable, they will continue making stuff. And if the audience who's signed up for Marvel, knowing it's an ongoing story, really cares that much about having to watch stuff, they would have dropped out long ago. That, I guess, is kind of the crux of my point. The Hawkeye show where he trains Kate Bishop isn't going to be the thing which pushes Jimmy Schmidt over there to like quit Marvel.
With 3 movies a year, 2 or 3 movies a year, than it is to keep up with 4 or 5 different shows with multiple hour-long episodes.
It's easier. Unless the limited series is like 4 episodes, which it totally could be. In which case, that puts it at a 3-hour runtime, which is a movie.
It's like...
We don't know. We're criticizing things that don't exist yet.
I don't...
At the end of the day...
Well, no.
We just don't know.
Things do exist. There were 5 other shows, and there's still 4 new shows that are confirmed to be happening. We don't know the quality of the shows, but the quality isn't the part I'm concerned about. That's not my thing. I don't care about the quality. It's the amount that I'm concerned with, and that is confirmed.
We don't know the episode count.
Well, the episode count doesn't freaking matter.
It does matter.
Thank you.
No, it doesn't.
By your own
amount
admission,
of
the
shows.
crap to watch does matter. 22 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. versus 4 episodes of Hawkeye is a pretty big freaking difference in runtime.
You're delusional if you think there's only going to be 4 episodes of Hawkeye.
I think there's going to be 8 realistically. They're limited,
and that's already too much
for you.
You're right. Which is why my perspective is that I think this is too much. That for whatever reason you've been trying to argue against.
You can totally watch them, but franchise fatigue is a concern on an individual basis. That's what I tried to say last week. If you're going to drop out because of the TV shows, that's fine. I'm surprised you stayed on this long, but au revoir, enjoy.
I mean, I just don't think I don't think I'm alone in this feeling because I've seen it.
You're not, because
I've seen
I'm
it
not
all over
interested.
the place.
I don't want to watch.
It's not like I'm coming at this perspective from in a bubble. I've talked with people before. I've heard the franchise fatigue.
Of course. The good old I've talked to people argument. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
you're right.
Wow.
Holy crap, dude.
Wow.
I mean, like,
okay.
It's unquantifiable.
You're making
it's completely
it like
unquantifiable.
Sure, yeah, okay.
The term you're looking for is
that's
anecdotal.
fine.
Anecdotal,
But
yes.
that anecdotal goes both ways. That's why I pointed it out. You could say that, franchise fatigue doesn't matter because obviously people enjoy these films. But, like, I mean, sure. But I can also say that it does matter because I know people that obviously didn't.
Bingo.
So, I mean, that point doesn't matter.
So I'm not gonna try to convince you to like the shows. We come at it from different places. I'm very
Not
into
talking
like
about
good
the
writing.
quality.
Oh, I know. But like, you can't talk about the quantity of the shows because that's anecdotal and preferential. You can only talk about the quality of the shows. We can talk about all we want.
The quantity of the show is not anecdotal.
Preferences. There can be 22. There can be 22 episodes of Hawkeye, dude. It might take me a year, but if it was good, if it got good reviews on freaking Rotten Tomatoes, I'd watch it. You might not because you don't care about Hawkeye, but it might literally take me like 1 episode a week. You know, maybe in 6 months I could have it watched. I don't care. But
okay, but if you don't consider 4 shows with 22 episodes each, all releasing within a year of each other, a lot, then what is a lot?
I don't know. I can't define what a lot is, so I don't try to.
So you're saying you've been telling Var this whole time that's not a lot, like you know what a lot is. But when we ask you what a lot is,
thank you, Vin.
Thank
you, Vin.
Oh,
you highlight my point perfectly.
I don't know what a lot is. I don't know.
You highlight my point exactly perfectly. A lot doesn't exist. That is my point. You saying what a lot
is subjective.
A lot is subjective. You cannot say what a lot is in any kind of discussion sense.
Excuse me, this is a factual opinion.
You put your foot down and you say a lot is a lot for you.
It's a factual observation that 22 episodes is a lot.
As compared to 100?
There's a guy that sees
That's
all these
still
shows.
a lot.
My point
care.
is,
There's a guy that sees all these shows and he's like, 88 episodes. Oh, that's not a lot.
Everything is relative. That's the point I'm making. And I'm pretty firm in that.
And this TTV host's name, Albert Einstein.
I just feel like
you can say whatever you wish.
I feel like you might be on the outlier when it comes to 4 TV shows with 22 episodes each, releasing all within a year, and you don't consider that to be a lot of content. I feel like you are probably on the outlier there. I think a good number of people, the majority of people, would see that and consider that to be a lot. That's an investment.
That's the point where we diverge.
That's a time investment that you have to make. And that is a tangible thing you can see how many hours that went into this compared to how many hours there are in the day that you have of free time, and you can quantify what is a lot.
I mean, look, it all comes down to quality for me, dude.
I understand that, but we're not having a conversation about the quality.
True. There's nothing really like to talk about here. My only point I'm bringing this up, as I said at the start, it's not to convince you that my way is right. It's to say that there's no point to even talking about it because the goalpost changes for every single person. Mm-hmm. That's the point I'm making. Prentice in the chat. As someone who took a break on Marvel, the fact I've got several seasons with the TV to catch up on is sort of comforting to me. It means I'm not going to run out anytime soon. There are people who watch stuff. There are people who watch stuff like passively. There are people who read
the good old there are people argument.
like 800. I like it. Yeah, exactly. It's not like you can't even say that. You're just like talking. I'm just talking. There's no discussion to be had here. There's no discussion to be had criticizing Marvel TV for doing it. There's no point, positive or negative.
I mean,
they make
I can
shows.
criticize Marvel TV because I don't think this is the best decision
They make shows. If the shows get bad ratings, they'll cancel them. It could be because of quality. It could be because of fatigue. It could be because of quantity. It could be because of timing. We'll never know.
What is the point of critique then?
You critique the product on its merits, on its quality.
And you don't think the
writing.
length is part of its merits?
I think that it could be if it affects ratings and retention.
Like, if
we don't know yet.
We're expected to watch a 5-hour film, you don't think that would be a part of its quality? Like, part of the quantity of your criticism for the film?
I mean,
if
that's
it
a legitimate
was,
criticism.
Like, it surely a lot. Like, if you were like, you came out of a 6-hour film and you were like, wow, that was a really long film.
If it was
That's
paced
part-
well, if it was a story worth telling in that time, if it didn't have filler, if it wasn't dragged out to fit its 6-hour runtime, then I would probably love it. People read books that are gigantic, dude. People read One Piece, which has 800 chapters
900.
plus.
900.
900 chapters. If a story merits its length and is worth telling, people will follow it.
So would you binge the
It all
entirety
comes
of the
down
MCU
to the quality.
I know
Would you binge
people
the
that
entire
I wouldn't follow
MCU
it.
then?
Look,
We already has several
my
times.
answer to you, Vin, is in my life, probably not, because I do have other responsibilities and I can't be in front of
Right.
the screen all day.
Exactly.
That's just me. There's no point to be made to that argument. Plenty of people probably
course.
could.
So then you would understand
now-
why it would be such a turnoff to dedicate so much time.
If you are part of that
get into a
selected
story.
group who shares that opinion that may or may not be the minority majority, yes, I can kind of see the halfway point you're making. Did you see
Yes.
how much of a non-sentence I just said? That is my point.
The majority of
I didn't want to
people
say
have-
anything about that because I. But
That is
yes,
the point
sure.
I'm making.
I
It
get
is
what
a
you're saying.
non-statement.
The majority of people have lives outside of sitting on their butts and watching TV shows.
There's also no time crunch to watch it. People set their own.
Well,
I
there
mean,
might
sure.
be.
I mean, if you
And,
want to
like-
catch up with the latest MCU movie that everybody's talking about,
Yeah,
and be
if
in
you
the
want
know-
MC,
But you
okay.
don't gotta.
Sure,
This
yeah.
is where it becomes about.
But that's about this. I mean, it goes back to the
What am I
it goes
saying?
back to the experience thing, where it's like, okay, I could choose to have a good experience, or I could choose not to have a good experience.
Right. This
But
goes
to
back
have
to
a
the
good
whole-
experience, I have to sacrifice hours upon hours of my life.
But you know what's great, Var?
Uh-oh.
The writing could be done in such a way to where they don't have
The writing
to be
isn't
caught up.
going to give me my hours back, Messa.
It's like
We're,
what you
we're
said
talking about
last week.
hypotheticals here. We
It's
don't
like they could do
know.
this. In
We
the
don't know how
hypothetical
much
where
the
writing
shows
is
will
good,
be.
and you don't have to watch them. And they're supplemental side stories. And
I'm
you
never
don't
gonna
have to watch
say it.
them.
I'm never
Then
gonna
what
give up.
then? Look, I gotta leave, so I'm not gonna end the podcast. Since I started this, I'm not gonna be the jerk who ends it. You guys can keep going and maybe like smack talk.
Oh
behind
no,
the scenes.
heavens no. No, we are.
Vin, you can say your point.
If-
I just gotta go.
If you leave, I'm taking over.
You can take over.
All
End
right.
it when Vin finishes his point.
Well, I know people who
okay.
wouldn't leave.
I'm a bounce, guys. See ya. I made my points. Adios.
Wait, you're supposed to vindicate me, dang it!
That Meso guy's a complete loser, though, right?
What, Elder?
No, it's
Nice.
just referencing the earlier thing. Never mind. Go.
Oh no. Yeah, keep going, guys. Bye.
Meso, you made no
No,
points.
So
if he's not gonna be here, I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
So, okay.
I do-
There's no.
I do want
Well,
to.
no, I
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I did want to like briefly like backtrack a bit. So what was Meso talking about? Like, why did he bring this up?
He was
I
responding to
don't
last
even know
week's.
anymore.
He was responding to last week's stuff.
But responding to what?
Uh,
Because like he's responding as though he has like, you know, a point against something. Like I said something, so he has to respond to it, right? Like I'm wrong about
Okay, so
something.
I lied. I was I was getting my work uniform out to put it on, and I heard on the earphone. My point was that you have. My point was
Oh
that.
my god!
No, listen. I was still listening. My point is that
That was great.
My point is, it's kind of like an inverse of your opinions toward Mahler. Var, that's kind of the point I'm making. The points you're making only apply for you. There are no sweeping statements you could possibly make that TV shows are a good or a bad thing, because it all falls into an unquantifiable minority majority that we don't have statistics for.
Oh, those are a lot of big words.
That a genre could die after 10 years when there's 80 years of potential to draw from in comics world is an indefinable feeling of fatigue that may or may not be true. That's my point.
Well, so was my point in the previous episode that there is a sweeping fatigue going around and that this is going to kill the MCU or something?
Part of it. Only a part. There are plenty of points you made about the quality of programming and whether it's side stories or connections that I don't really take an issue with, so I didn't bother bringing them up. You were right about that. There was an undercurrent, a minor point of fatigue. I know Haley said it a lot, maybe more than you, I forget. But that is the main concern, the feeling that the superhero genre will die because of oversaturation in the media. And it might. I'm not going to say it won't. I'm not a freaking sales analyst. I'm no expert. But I'm also not going to say it will either, because it all depends on quality.
We just don't know.
We just don't know.
Exactly. We won't know because we won't know how related the TV shows will be. That's just, or to anything. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't even know how to state my point anymore. So it doesn't matter.
His point was that there is no way to quantify whether it's going to kill the MCU or not, basically, or like there's no way to, if the fatigue will ruin anything.
I mean, sure.
Which is I guess is fair. That was kind of a like, it's not a major part of what I was saying. So
I know a lot of people that will get tired of it.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but what is a lot?
Here's the thing, though, is like, while that wasn't the original point I was making, I feel like it would be pretty easy to dispute. I feel like if you were to actually take a survey of how many people are getting kind of sick or fatigued by the MCU, it would be overwhelmingly.
Why don't we just do it?
Let's just start one.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we just do it right now?
Let's do it right now on the TTV account, right now on Twitter. Let's make a poll.
Okay, you do that. I'm gonna ask our live YouTube audience right now. All right, poll.
Okay.
Who is? I have some comments I want to read from that, by the way. Getting fatigued.
Actually, here, no. I'll make a poll, and you can post a link to the poll.
Fair enough, reasonable. Okay, so
you guys are crazy.
Couple of comments.
I mean, like 4 shows. With all those episodes. Got plenty of time to watch it all. Right.
So real fast. I really love
8 episodes of Hawkeye, man.
Okay. I really love this comment in the YouTube live chat by Mr. Hinkle Draws, who said,
"Oh man,
Meso being big timed by a Lego-themed booth/activity out in the real world is the definition of cruel irony." I love it. Also, we've been having a little bit of a Thanksgiving dinner in the YouTube live chat because this has reminded a lot of people of Thanksgiving family discussion, which I feel is apt. I feel that's quite apt. And then finally, a Bionicle Lives, or Bionicle Lives, whichever, is, I'm curious, since Meso brought it up, what are your thoughts on Mahler Var?
What are my thoughts on Mahler?
Mm-hmm.
I like Mahler a lot. I think he's got a very nice analytical view of things, and he's able to make very succinct points and critiques that are very well thought out. I do believe that he does have a habit of being a little too, I guess not cynical per se, but like, I don't know, his critiques can be a little mean, I guess. That, and also I think his whole viewpoint of opinion versus fact is complete BS. Like the objective opinion never heard. But generally I do agree with his points. Like I agree about The Last Jedi almost completely. I don't like that film, and all his points that he makes are very good points. I just don't think it's possible for there to be an objective opinion. That just makes no sense at all. So that's the one thing I agree with him about. But otherwise, I like his content. He makes good stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, I will let you let you put that poll up and just send it over when you're ready. In the meantime, fellas, are you excited for Endgame?
I'm excited for Endgame because it's probably going to be one of the last pieces of Marvel content I will consume.
Which
I know,
actually does remind me. So, it was
All right, so quick question. Is this worded properly? Are you feeling fatigued by the increasing amount of Marvel film/TV content?
I think
I
that's fair.
I want to be as unbiased as possible, so I don't want to lead the answer. So I don't want to lead people to selecting yes. I feel like maybe saying increasing might do that, but it's also accurate. So
oof, yeah, I'm not sure how to
word that to where it's not like getting people to answer.
Maybe
that I want them to answer.
Have you become fatigued by the amount of Marvel cinematic content? Perhaps?
See, I want to include TV though, because that's the point of discussion.
Well, absolutely.
It's the fact that they're
paraphrased, but like just instead of increasing, just call it by the amount.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like that's a good point though to make that they're still ramping up how much content they're putting out.
Now, Haley brought up an interesting statement. She said,
I'll take out increasing. I think that's fine.
She said she thinks Marvel needs to start thinking of how to end the MCU. Personally, I don't think they necessarily need to end the MCU. I just think that, because these movies, they can stay connected. They can still introduce characters that haven't gotten a spotlight yet. I think that's great. What I think should be done is that we retire some of the characters, which is what I think Endgame is going to do. Endgame is probably going to retire the original Avengers.
Maybe ongoing?
Yeah, it could be an ongoing universe, but stories... Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I got kind of cut into your thing. I'm sorry.
Well, it's a better way of phrasing what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
I guess.
ongoing. I feel like I think that's the best way of saying
They can be an ongoing universe, but they can retire older stories that we don't... Because we've been building up to this Infinity War stuff for, ever.
That's the question.
The first Iron Man movie. So, yes, that looks good.
Yeah, I feel that's really good.
Cool.
Right.
I
think they could probably still make, I don't know, a Fantastic Four movie. It takes place in the MCU, but we don't have to see Tony Stark again. We don't have to see the Avengers banding together or like a Captain America cameo or whatever. We can just have more superhero movies that isn't more of the same, I suppose. And just have some one-offs, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. Which is what I'm hoping the MCU will do, because I'm kind of tired of doing homework. For example, Endgame's coming up, and then Captain Marvel's going to be in it. She just had her own movie, so I felt compelled to go watch her movie so that I could understand her character in Endgame. I'm kind of tired of that. I kind of don't want that to be a thing anymore. I just kind of want to enjoy a good superhero movie that is revolved around some Marvel comic book character I like. And, if it's connected to the other movies, that's cool. I mean, whatever.
I am kind of curious what this guy made on the YouTube chat. Aaron the Savior is like, when are you guys going to get back on topic? What?
We are on topic.
We are on topic.
What topic should we get back on?
We already concluded that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Which topic? I don't know. I want to see him answer that.
I don't know. I feel like this poll question doesn't exactly apply to me though, because it's like at the current moment, ongoing, I feel like I can keep on top of the movies, and the TV shows don't really tie into the movies. So no, I don't feel fatigued at the moment because I don't feel like I have to watch the shows to get the movies. However, if
then you would just answer no.
Yeah, you can.
No, but I'm saying that I do feel like I will be fatigued in the future, just not right. I'm not right now.
Okay, well,
so your answer would still be no.
Well,
yes, I'm saying
that
it can happen.
Well, I've already got the poll up. I can't add a not yet option.
Just delete it, redo it.
Okay, that's fair. I can just redo it.
I haven't sent it out yet, so.
I will say
I guess
right
that's
now,
fair. Saying
right
not
now,
yet.
67% of people have voted yes. So
That's 60% of how many people?
of 9 votes.
Yeah,
So
so
fair enough.
we have
The
time.
poll is
Dang,
pretty
6-3.
But
All right, well,
of note, real briefly,
Here's what I will say though.
in a moment.
If your answer is not yet, the implication is that you are feeling a bit of fatigue. Like you can feel it coming on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know-
I could see it happening. Like if these shows require you to have seen the movies, or like vice versa, you have to see the shows to sort of get something in the movies. Like then yes, there's no way on earth I'm going to be able to catch up with everything. I would be
Right.
fatigued at that point.
If you're not interested in Marvel, I would just vote no. Like if you just don't care, then
Or
you're
just
obviously
not vote.
you're not fatigued about it.
Before we end, it is worth noting that Kevin Feige said very, very recently that Spider-Man Far From Home, not Endgame, will be the end of Phase 3.
well, I feel like if you don't care about the MCU, maybe you shouldn't vote yes or no. Because
Yeah. Maybe you should abstain. Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, you don't have to vote because if it's gonna mess with the numbers. It's gonna, because we're trying to conclude whether or not the people that are interested in the Marvel movies and stuff are feeling fatigue or not. So if you're not interested, then you're not part of the sample.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. The new poll has been posted into the patron chat.
Oh, it's a straw poll. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, behold. Straw poll.
Though we do only have 35 concurrent viewers right now, so the poll isn't really going to increase that much.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because Meso and I have not worked out the patron banner, unfortunately, the live chat will not be kept. But we'll have it in the description below, so keep that in mind. This is a good question. I think we should probably end on this question from... Oh, gosh. I apologize in advance.
Oh boy.
I'll just say the last name. Foglia. Did this fatigue ever apply to you guys when you were following Bionicle in the later years?
Absolutely. To be honest, I'm probably the worst Bionicle fan out of everybody in TTV.
This is very, very possible. I won't say true,
Yeah.
but it's very possible.
I wouldn't
I think
say
it might
I
be
felt
true, 'cause-
fatigued, but I was fine with it ending where it did. And I guess maybe the stories afterwards were kind of like, I don't feel like I really need these.
I was not, but I also fall a little more into Meso's camp. Not necessarily fully, but more so in that I favor long-form content so long as it's intriguing. As it's really good. If it's high quality, I don't care how long it lasts. So, it's very difficult to fatigue me when it comes to storyline content. But that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know if it was fatigue per se, but I definitely started fading out in terms of interest in Bionicle towards the later years after like the 2009 2010 stuff.
Yeah,
just did
it's
not
not
interest me
necessarily
at
you
all.
were overwhelmed with the content, you just weren't interested.
Yeah, like 08 was basically the final year for me in terms of like peak interest.
Which
Once
is
that
so
point
same.
happened.
cruelly ironic given the Toa Matsunui thing.
Yeah. So I definitely kind of stopped, liking it then. And Toby Ekazap said, "Why would you say you're the worst fan?" Just because like I don't really. My opinion of Bionicle isn't really that high, I guess, is what I would say. Like I like the line a lot, but with G1 I kind of faded out a little bit. Wasn't super interested in where it was going. G2, same thing. Didn't really care for it either. Like it was cool, but also not at the same time. Story was underwhelming. Sets are really good, but wasn't super gung ho about it. And then currently my perspective of Bionicle is very, very negative.
Very
But
sour.
it's very sour. But it's mostly because of my interactions with the community, not so much because of Bionicle itself. But despite that, whenever I think of Bionicle, my like gut feeling is always negative. It's not like a happy thought. So that's why I'm like, probably the worst Bionicle fan, because I am a fan, but I'm also not a fan at the same time, I guess. I feel like if I was a fan, then I wouldn't have a default negative opinion, you know?
Hang on. I gotta figure out how many likes we have on this video, because this is really sad.
50?
19? 19? That's it for
so
this?
sad.
Gosh dang.
This is so sad. We need 50.
We need 50 likes
need
for how
50.
sad it is that we don't have 50 likes.
Thumbs up to the
That
left,
means
boys.
100 likes, everybody. We don't even have 50 people watching. There's no way we're going to get 50 likes.
Yeah. But that being the case, we should probably go ahead and wrap up. Unless you guys disagree and want to continue.
Well, I just want to say that Meso is a trash human being with trash opinions. I see that he's still listening, so that's why I wanted to say that. Only other trash human beings could like such a trash human being.
And here's Haley in the chat with the beginning of All Star. Okay.
Haley, you're cool. You just have horrible taste in men.
Gosh dang.
Ouch.
So, that being the
Ouch.
case, I'm going to shout out.
Yeah, like what is so great? Never mind.
Well, it's hopeless at this point. She's girl Meso now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We've gone from
see,
MGH to GM.
She's like, I mean, like she's like Meso if Meso was like positive, I guess.
Meso
Like if I
before the
didn't
downward
hate,
spiral.
she's Meso if I didn't hate Meso. Also, she agrees with me on the Marvel thing, so that means she's infinitely better.
Jeez.
Dang, that message pruning.
Well, any other people we need to bag on today?
Nah, just Meso.
Okay. Disclaimer, because I say a lot of those. TTV is not a hive mind, and not everyone agrees with the opinions that have been stated thus forth. That's why we had a discussion earlier and not a unanimous agreement that ended in 5 minutes. Okay.
Unless
Oh, no.
it's about hating Meso, in which case we all
Hold
agree.
Hold on now. Alright, so 2 shout-outs. One of them is a patron, one of them is not. So, someone who is not a trash human being.
He must be like driving or something. I'm like expecting him to say something, like either join the call or type or something.
He's driving, he unmutes. Listen here, you little beep, beep, beep. Get out of the road! He throws his phone out the car.
I like trigger him so he answers the call to get immediately rear-end someone.
Oh, listen, I graduated top of my class.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's funny that there are people that think TTV is a hive mind when things like the leg debate is like existed. You know, like it can't be possible.
The defining,
Well, they don't pay attention to that stuff.
the defining...
TTV is a hive mind. There's a leg debate. Choose one.
TTV is a hive
I only
mind,
care about what
changed my
TTV
mind.
thinks when. I only care about what they think when they say something I don't like, and therefore I hate TTV as a whole because that's all I know is they said something I didn't like.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't like you either.
Oh my
Whoever you are.
gosh.
The nondescript they.
Life would be so much easier if you would just unsubscribe and go away.
Okay, so, well, thank you also very much for listening. So the 2 shout-outs. First of all, the non-patron, who I feel doesn't get shouted out enough. He's not a trash.
Oh,
no.
yes. Okay.
No.
Before you move on, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay,
sorry, but
okay.
I completely forgot about the poll.
Okay, fair
Open
enough.
bowl.
And we are literally split down the middle. 9 to 9. 9 people says yes. 9 people said
Oh,
no.
time to vote.
Oh,
6 people said no.
there
Yeah.
are
I
6
forgot to
people
vote.
that said that they're feeling it, so technically we're still winning.
I mean that you're not wrong. I to me this technically counts as a victory for yes, but it doesn't really, because my point was that I feel like there would be an overwhelming majority, and that was definitely not the case. So fair enough.
But I mean, even
concede.
the amount of not yet votes is kind of telling about the direction it's going in. On top of that,
Yeah,
But-
I agree. I agree.
Not yet. I feel is a little more of an uncertain. So it's like that may change. It may not. You know.
Yeah, but I feel like not yet. The
but
implication
the fact that
is
it's on
that
their minds.
yeah, the fact that they feel like they could be fatigued, it means that they're already kind of feeling it. To me, that's what that means.
Yeah.
Because like if you weren't fatigued, then the thought of a bunch of new Marvel TV shows and a bunch of new Marvel movies coming out like wouldn't phase you at all. But the fact that you can see the plan of what's coming up and think, yeah, I could see myself getting fatigued by this. That kind of the implication is that you are kind of feeling the fatigue, to me at least.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, I will concede. I thought it would be an overwhelming victory, and it wasn't. So
Okay. Fair enough.
that does mean that there is
Well,
room
it is
for
a
debate.
victory. It just changed.
Well, see, I wouldn't say it's a victory because that wasn't my point.
I
You
will.
wanted it to be a landslide.
Well, because I thought it would be a landslide. That's the thing. I did not think it was going to be split down the middle. So this is not what I was thinking at all.
That's fair.
Like when I was arguing with Meso, my point was like, okay, I think that you're probably in the wrong here. I think the majority of people would see all this stuff and think that that's a lot to commit to, and that they would feel fatigued. That was my point. But that is obviously not the case, judging by this poll.
Mm-hmm.
So I do concede there.
Fair enough.
Good
And
for now.
see everyone. See.
These 9 people might be the last ones that.
I mean, it is just a poll of 36 people,
That's
Or
not
20
a lot.
But guys,
26 people, and also
That's
I would
not
like to point out that
quantifiable.
those 26 people are a bunch of like Lego nerds who are
okay.
probably more
Okay.
inclined to not feel fatigue by things that are nerdy, like Marvel. So
And Bionicle.
I do want to point out that this is a bit of a biased
All right.
poll of people here.
Listen here, you chads. We don't need to listen to you. We can be nerds all we like.
Like, if you went to a random pub downtown and asked them the same question, the results would be very different.
This is
Yep.
a skewed
All right,
scope.
time to go to a random pub, you guys.
Maybe you shouldn't.
We should actually do this in Brick Fair. We should just walk
Go
down
to
the
a pub?
streets. No,
Yeah,
not
no,
go to a
that's what
pub, but we
Keenan
A
can
wants
man
to
on
do.
the street interview.
walk around a city and just like
Walk around DC.
with
What
the
do you-
survey. We can walk around DC, ask random people if they're feeling Marvel fatigue, and that'll be more accurate.
That's brilliant. I'm down.
Are you feeling Marvel fatigue? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Get the camera out of my face.
What's Marvel?
I'm trying to
What's
figure
a
out if
Marvel?
Meso's still listening or if he just forgot that he was in the call and forgot to
Or
leave.
if you...
You know what's
Oh,
ironic?
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God.
You know what's really ironic? I literally just sat down with my sandwich that I just went and made. Not 10 seconds ago, I made my sandwich before work and I sat back down.
See, the reason
So
he
you-
isn't gone is not because he's traveling to work. It's because he's getting ready.
Yeah.
So
I had to eat
when
something before work.
Vin asked you, are you sure you're actually going to go to work, or are you just like hanging out with Haley or something? Basically,
at 4.
it was not going to work.
I work at 4, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to drive and I don't like to be late, so I like to eat beforehand too because I close.
That's fair.
Mm.
Well,
We
welcome
didn't
back.
need to hear you eating, dude.
Man, that sounded like a good sandwich, though.
I really did, though.
Oh,
I'm being
a
great.
good
This
crunch.
is chips, man.
Gosh,
But the
dang.
level
Oh
of
my
sound to
God.
annoy people, that's not quantifiable. You can't determine what's annoying or not.
It's a good comment from Mr. Kevin Hinkle. Oh boy, haha, Var's throwing the flames in all directions. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
how much-
That's
how much
how I
snack-
roll.
Var with the flamethrower.
How much snack talk did I miss?
Oh, you missed a lot. I figured that you
A
were
lot.
here, so that's why I was like intentionally like
Wow.
targeting you.
Var throwing the bait.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would like pop back in and be like, "Screw you, Var," or something.
We were hoping you were going to throw your phone out the car window.
Yeah, I thought that you might be driving or something, which is why you were like muted but still in the call.
Nah.
That would be amazing.
Nah. At the end of the day, you can have whatever opinion you want. That is totally fine. But the people who make the decisions,
Finish
the people who
chewing, buddy.
decide whether it's going to be Marvel fatigue or not, they're going to do it based on quality, which will generate reviews, which will generate feedback,
Quality
which
is
will generate...
quantifiable.
Yeah. Put it this way, if enough people review the shows poorly, and in their reviews they cite that it's because of the length and ratings aren't good, and they decide to downscale Marvel because of that ripple effect, then a year from now it'll be Bard's Year of Vindication.
Oh,
See, no, I don't... See, not to bring the argument back up, but I disagree with you.
That's fine.
No!
I don't think the quality has anything to do with fatigue, because Marvel has been doing like slam dunks back to back. Obviously they can make quality stuff, and yet I still feel the fatigue.
Didn't you guys love like the latest Daredevil season, and then here we are with it?
Yeah,
The show's over.
The show's over. Well, I mean, to be fair, that's
And
got a lot of...
low ratings. Well, mishandled advertising.
To be,
there's a lot going into that.
there's some external politics pertaining to Netflix in that regard. So
Sure.
Yeah.
But like I don't think the quality, because like I don't know, the quality I don't think would ever contribute to the feeling of fatigue. I think the fatigue comes from the amount that comes out, not the quality of it. You can have a quality slam dunk series, but if you're releasing it every single day and you expect people to watch it, not that Marvel's doing this, it's just an example, then I think people are going to get burned out. So, Meso, I don't know if you heard, but we did make a poll.
Oh boy.
To get feedback here. I'll
Bring
repost
it.
it here in the Patreon. So, to be fair, I did admit that I conceded this point. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk, that the majority of people were going to say yes, they are fatigued. Turns out it's split right down the middle.
Oh boy, it literally is.
Yep.
37, 33, 30.
Look at that. It's like that is as down the middle as you can get.
However, it is worth noting that people are starting to feel the fatigue. You're just not seeing all that there yet.
Yeah. So I do feel like the yes plus the not yet does kind of count towards the point that the fatigue is in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
So take that, Meso.
I did also make a point of saying that this is a kind of a biased poll. For one, it's a small poll size. Two, it is with a bunch of like Lego fans, which I would argue have the propensity to lean towards enjoying content like Marvel films. And if we were to pull, like, if we went downtown to like pull a random bar, the results would be very different.
that would be hilarious. All of us
Or
just
maybe
in a
not.
random bar trying to talk to people, just trying to drink. Tell me, sir, how do you
Big
feel
baby.
about Marvel? Get away from me.
I mean, look, that could totally be a fatigue. The only point I was making was that it might not necessarily. It might be. It might not be because of the TV shows. It might be because of the 10 years worth more movies they're planning. And the hundreds of Fox characters.
Well-
and the Eternals, whoever they are. And like,
Well, yeah, but
Shang-Chi.
my point was never that it was the TV shows that are going to kill Marvel. It's just the sheer amount of content that's leading to the fatigue. The shows for me as an individual was the breaking point, because that's like, to me, that's just a lot of stuff.
Individuals are
But-
not quantifiable.
But I mean, it is like, the point though is it's that in conjunction with the 10 years of content we've already got, and then the other 10 years of content we're going to get. All of that together is contributing to the fatigue. All of that is, adding on top of stuff that's already there. So it's not just the
Totally
TV
fair,
shows.
PLD.
It is the whole thing,
But look,
the whole package.
if there is one title that you could leverage at me and have it be 100% true and I'll own it, it is the Marvel TV Fanboy Supreme.
That's not
So-
a title anyone would ever come up with for you.
But it's so true, though. I admit it.
Marvel TV superfan.
I extol the merits of Marvel TV because I like long-form storytelling. I think there's some shows, some stories that can only be done in TV format. But stuff like Fatigue, yeah, it's on the individual level. I haven't felt it yet, but give me 5 years, who knows? Maybe I will.
So you're a not yet. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, see, and that's why I thought that you would be more on the outlier, because I feel like you have a propensity for enjoying long form content.
True.
And I don't think that your opinion is one that the majority of people would agree with. Now, obviously, we did a poll, so I think I might be wrong there.
Part leaning towards being right.
But yeah, leaning towards being right. But
I can admit that.
even still.
I don't know. I could be totally wrong. The only thing is I wouldn't like try to say because I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person. You know how many times I've watched Mahler's Last Jedi review var in full?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, yeah, throw a number.
More than twice?
Okay. Anybody else?
5 times.
10.
12 times.
What?
Dangerous closes.
I was about to say, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure you've synced viewed it with like half of TTV all individually, so.
Correct. But I also like having it on as background noise at times.
Why?
I like long form stuff.
You're a crazy person, dude.
In total, because it's 6 hours long by 12 hours, that's like, unless my math is just totally wrong. It's like 72 hours. I don't know. It's probably totally wrong.
I think the complete opposite of you. Watching like 20-minute shows, maybe like 10-minute videos. I like to listen to music, but there's like a lot of music is like 70-minute albums these days. I like the shortest experience.
Yeah. I'm also
You
on
guys
my
remember-
11th rewatch of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
There used to be a time where Meso wouldn't watch shows because like he didn't have time to watch them. You guys remember that?
Barely.
I remember this.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
Like I remember like I would ask like, "Yo, Meso, have you seen the newest season of Daredevil?" And he'd be like, "No, I haven't even watched Jessica Jones yet."
See,
I'd be like,
I mean, that's still
what?
true, though. That's still true. He still hasn't seen, what is it, Meso? Iron Fist Season 2, Luke Cage Season 2.
I mean, you're not missing much, but
I watched Iron Fist season 2 finally. It was pretty good. But yeah, I never saw Jessica Jones because I didn't really like what you guys were saying about it.
'Cause you hate
Again,
women.
the quality was my breaking point. From Eljay, I heard it really wasn't that great. From VAR, I heard it really
Well,
was great.
So my
I
stance,
liked it a lot. Yeah.
my stance on it isn't that great. It's that it isn't for me. It's a good show that I feel is too depressing, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, LJ likes happy stories.
Yeah, I do like happy.
Then why do you like
stories.
Bionicle?
It's a happy story, Ven.
Bionicle is nothing but
Hardly.
depression.
Anyway, time to pull my third Exodus and actually go to work. Have a good
That's
day.
okay. We should actually.
Okay, all
Oh,
right.
you want me to go ahead and wrap it? Because I will.
Now
yeah.
the poll
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
go ahead and wrap it.
at 13 yes, 10
Nope.
no, and 8 not yet.
Hostile retake over Eljay.
Wait, no, hang on. I just want to do one non-patron shout-out.
Do it.
Just one. All right. So, someone who isn't a trash human being like Var said Meso was. That is nearly verbatim. Toby Echozap. He's been watching for a long time. He left a wonderful comment on the Biocraft movie. He's been just such a swell person the entire time, so I wanted to take a moment and give him a shout-out.
Yeah, props, man. You've been one of
Let's
our
also
longest
take
running
this moment-
fans, and every
Yeah,
time I see a
man.
comment, I appreciate you.
Yeah, Toby
Thanks, Toby.
reminds me that there are good people out there.
Yeah, man, you're a cool guy.
There
Life
is
is
one
worth living.
person that is good out there.
With that being said, LJ, cue the music.
Fudge.
This week's patron shout out goes to Melty Mel. So thank you for being a patron of ours.
The new
Always
guy.
too loud.
I know.
We'll
I
see you all
can't help
next
it.
week for another exciting podcast. Probably just one podcast next week. Thank you for watching as always. Leave your thoughts on Marvel fatigue and Faber in the comments below. And yeah, I'm Meso.
I'm Bar.
I'm LJ.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Invi.
Farewell, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Vote
Check
in
out
the poll.
Biocraft Chronicles. Check out the soundtrack. Check out everything.
Yeah, please check out Vince's soundtrack.
Bottom text.
Yeah. All the songs that aren't the covers are also very good, so you should listen to those.
We'll release the covers now.
I mean, obviously the covers are what everybody wants, but
Will the
Bye.
covers be
We'll get
3?
there.